Good evening, all. Good evening, all. And I must say, good evening to all our wonderful women in the house and a few gentlemen in our midst. You're all warmly welcome to the second edition of the Tabletop Conversation hosted by the Women Directors Development Committee, WDDC, of the Institute of Directors, Nigeria. Indeed, it is again hosted by the Women's Committee, and we're all happy to be here. I am Dr. Janet Aditi. I'm the chairman of the Executive Coaching Subcommittee of the Women Directors Development Committee. You've all heard it today, several times, I'm sure. But let me start by again wishing you all a happy International Women's Day, where we embrace, I must say, equity. All right, lots of events going on today, I know. As you can see, a friend of mine decided to get married today, and we're still celebrating women at this wedding. It is the digital age. And I must say, it makes it so convenient for us to bring this program to you virtually. So let me thank you once again for taking out the time to join us today. Now, our celebration for today, and in celebration of the International Women's Day, and to start this tabletop conversation, is all about building resilience and a growth mindset in an unstable world. Our guest speaker for today, the first female Vice-Chancellor of the University of Lagos, Professor Sade Ogunsola. We're so happy to have her on this program today. She is truly embracing equity. So thank you so much for coming on board. And I must say, I want to add, this program is brought to you by the Women Directors Development Committee for aspiring female professionals, executive decision makers, senior management like yourselves, to help you become board ready, to help you excel in board participation, and also to help you gain leadership experience on the board. You're going to have an opportunity to ask questions, to listen and learn from others, and of course, to be able to indicate if you're interested in experiencing executive coaching. Without wasting much time, I'm going to say, please sit back, make yourself very comfortable, and enjoy this session. I'm very sure you're going to gain a lot from today's session. I'm going to kickstart today by just throwing open a poll session. So the questions will come up. Kindly use your device. You know, it's the digital age. We want to be tech savvy and embrace equity in line with the International Women's Day theme for the year. Please kindly help us answer these questions and submit, and then we'll have a look at the results. The first question reading, how would you rate equality in your organization? Not so good, good, very good. Kindly answer. The second question speaks to how satisfied are you with your career today? Not satisfied, satisfied, very satisfied. And the third question speaks to how are you coping with the current economic circumstances that we are all experiencing today? Is it very badly? Is it not so well? Or is it well? And of course, the final question, because we're speaking about a program from the Executive Coaching Subcommittee of the Women's Wing of F.IoD, I'd like to ask you this one question. Would you like to be part of our executive coaching program? Yes or no? And so kindly just help us answer those questions. The back end, are you able to determine how many people have responded? We definitely want at least 60% or more to respond.
We have 30% at the moment.
All right, 30%, okay. My dear ladies, please kindly take the time to quickly fill it out. Just take seconds. Thank you very much. All right. And so I'm reading some of the responses. I'm excited being on this program. Thank you. We are strong, compassionate, intelligent, and creative. Great. We produce the world. Okay. Happy celebrations. I can't express how I feel about all women. We have come a long way. Absolutely. Resilience, very important. Building that resilience. The last question is just 4 questions, please. Just 4 questions. So please ignore the 5th. Please ignore the 5th one. That was a slight error. It's just 4 questions, please. Thank you. Once you've done that, kindly submit. Admin, how many? What percentage are we at now? Okay, if you ignore, you'll be unable to submit. Then just press anything. Okay. What percentage have answered right now? Admin, please let me know, because results have come through. Any more? Okay, please just indicate anything for number 5 so that you can submit. I apologize sincerely for that. Thank you very much. Okay. What percentage have shared so far, admin? Are we able to release the results?
Yes, ma'am. The results on the screen.
What percentage have, sorry?
57%.
I can't hear you.
57.
Okay. All right, come on, more. Please, if you're just joining, we are at the poll session and we're just asking a few questions, that really speak to resilience, equity, you name it. And in celebration of all our women today, that's why we're having this session, tabletop conversations. You will learn a lot. You will learn from others. You'll gain something, to really heighten yourself and your career. All right, just going to give you a few more seconds to just answer so that we can get a good response. Okay. Thank you very much for all of you who have already responded. We really appreciate that. Okay. All right. Okay. Are we at 60?
The poll has ended, ma. It stopped.
The poll has ended. All right. Okay. Thank you very much for all of you that have responded to the poll. Very interesting results here. In the spirit of embracing equity, you can see in the first question, how would you rate equality in your organization? And I'm very happy to see that 61% said it is actually good. So that's really nice to know. 61% of you said equality in your organization is good. So that's fantastic. That is indeed to embrace equity and the theme of the International Women's Day. Thank you so much. Question number 2 speaks to how satisfied are you with your career today? Okay, so just on the borderline there, 51% say that they are satisfied. All right, that's good. If I were to ask you on a scale of 1 to 10, I really wonder what that would mean. But thank you so much. Satisfied, yes. Very satisfied, 41%. Fantastic. So we have very good women in the house today. Leaders indeed, as you are. All right. And just 8% are speaking to not so satisfied. Interesting. Okay. And question number 3 speaks, how are you coping with the current economic circumstances? All right. 4% said very badly. Oh, so sad to hear that. And indeed, 45% say not so well. Absolutely. This indeed speaks to resilience. 45% are saying not coping so well with current circumstances. And yes, it speaks for all of us. And 51% say, well, okay, it's really what is going on around us. And finally, oh, wow, okay. Would you like to be part of our executive coaching practice? I'm happy to say 57% of you said yes. So thank you so much once again for answering these questions. Thank you. Really appreciate your response there. I'm just going to use this opportunity to let you know that the moderator for today is the one and only herself, our Vice Chairman, of the Women Directors Development Committee. She is Chizo Malize, and she will come in very shortly to speak to us and moderate today's session. I'm going to use this opportunity now to hand over to our chairman herself, all right, who will speak to and give her own welcome address. And she is also none other than Otunba Debola Osibogun. Thank you so much, and thank you all for listening.
Thank you very much, Janet. Our distinguished speaker, Professor Sade Ogunsola, the Vice-Chancellor of the University of Lagos. Thank you very much for joining us. My darling President and Chairman of Council of IOD, Dr. Mrs. Jidenma, F.IoD. Thank you very much, Ma, for being with us. Our distinguished members of the Governing Council here present, members of the Women Directors Development Committee, fellows, members of IOD, gentlemen of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you all on behalf of the President and Chairman of Council, Dr. Mrs. Jidenma, F.IoD, and members of the Women Directors Development Committee of the Institute of Directors, to another edition of our tabletop conversation. This is the second edition in the series of this annual program. This program is a core feature of the executive coaching program initiated by the WDDC of IOD to create a platform for learning, empowerment, and development for female leaders from all walks of life. The core mandate of WDDC is to promote the development of women leaders. We are tasked to be at the front line of advocacy programs that would empower women leaders and enable them to acquire the relevant knowledge and skills to compete effectively in leadership. We believe that this program will add value to every attendee, help female executives to develop their individual capacity, and also make a positive impact in their various organizations. I am also pleased that this event is being held today, March 8th, 2023, as part of the IOD Nigerians commemoration of the 2023 International Women's Day celebration, which is to celebrate the achievements of women who have broken through the glass ceilings and have excelled in their various endeavors all over the world. And I must say that each and every one of you on this platform or joining this conversation are women of substance, and you should all be celebrated. The theme for today's tabletop conversation is building resilience and a growth mindset in an unstable world. This topic is apt as it conforms to IOD's goals of promoting gender equality and inclusion amongst our female directors. And we hope that in the course of our conversation this evening, the challenges of self-doubt and feelings of insecurity faced by most women in leadership positions across sectors will be highlighted and extensively deliberated on. To discuss this theme with us is our esteemed guest speaker, Professor Sade Ogunsola, the first female Vice-Chancellor of the University of Lagos. I would like to express a profound appreciation to you, Ma, for honoring our invitation and for being part of this great event. Professor Ogunsola brings to the table several years of experience working in various capacities in the educational sector. She is an academic with versatile leadership roles. I am confident that she will bring her experiences to bear in this conversation. Our distinguished directors and leaders, ladies and gentlemen, I wish to encourage all of us to be open-minded and participate actively in this conversation so as to take full advantage of these occasions to generate meaningful interactions, create partisanship, and most especially generate ideas that will benefit women in leadership roles and by extension, benefit Nigeria as a whole. Once again, I want to thank the President and Chairman of Governing Council of the Institute of Directors, Dr. Mrs. Jidenma, F.IoD, and members of the Women Directors Development Committee, as well as the Secretariat, for their efforts in organizing an advocacy event of this nature. I would also like to appreciate the Governing Council, the ESCO, and members of the Institute for their invaluable support in bringing this program together. I also extend my gratitude to our media partners in promoting and publicizing this event. Once again, I want to appreciate all our participants for joining us at today's event. Thank you, you are all welcome. Well, I'm going to hand over to our able President and Chairman of Council, Dr. Mrs. Jidenma, F.IoD, to give her address. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you very much, Chair of Women Directors Development Committee, Otunba Osibogun. Thank you very much. Great to be here. Our distinguished guest speaker, Professor Sade Ogunsola, the Vice-Chancellor of University of Lagos. Distinguished members of the Governing Council and ESCO here present, the Chair of Women Directors Development Committee, F.IoD Nigeria, Otunba Mrs. Debola Osibogun, F.IoD, members of the Women Directors Development Committee, fellows and members of F.IoD, our distinguished guests, gentlemen of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I am quite enthused, I must say, and it is with great pleasure that I welcome you all on behalf of the Governing Council of the Institute of Directors, Nigeria. This is the second run, as she said, of the Tabletop Conversation series organized by the Women Directors Development Committee of our great institute. And I'm indeed excited that it is being run as part of the Institute's commemoration of the 2023 International Women's Day. We all know that 8th March of every year is set aside by the United Nations to globally celebrate the social, economic, cultural, and political achievements of women. The day also marks a call to action for accelerating gender parity. Thus, annually, we have women and groups embarking on activities to celebrate women's achievements, educate and raise awareness for equal opportunities for women, engage in actions that advance positive change for women, and fundraise in some cases for female-focused charities and so on. All these resonate with the purpose of setting up the Women Directors Development Committee by the Institute of Directors Nigeria. It is set up not only to strengthen the skills of our women directors, and expand their network, but also to develop those of women from all walks of life. So this year, the theme of the International Women's Day is Digital Innovation and Technology for Gender Equality. And again, this resonates with all of us. As here in F.IoD, our mainstay is on inclusiveness, and nothing can be more accelerating than technology. And by 2050, 75% of jobs will be related to STEM areas, that's science and technology areas. So today, we have just 22% of the positions in artificial intelligence, just to name but one area. But in effect, what it means is that we need to embrace technology so that the very thing that we are pursuing in terms of equity can be accelerated. And beyond the Nigerian directors, what of the enterprising Nigerian market women or market women? How do we accelerate their inclusiveness in the fast-moving digital world? How do we simplify matters for them through education? How do we equip our members to acquire the necessary skills and feel at home with technology? How do we forge their minds like steel to be resilient and withstand the storms of our time? How do we forge their minds in this era, tough era of uncertainty and complexity? It is tough. And that is why we have invited a woman of substance, a woman who is well blended with a tough mind and a tender heart to take us through this well-chosen theme. Professor Sade Ogunsola is an accomplished academic and tested administrator. She's someone that has also embraced science and technology, quite exemplary, because she's a disease control expert and the first female Vice-Chancellor, as she has been introduced. So we appreciate that she has found time to join us today. We are inspired by her success in shattering the glass ceiling in the society and the workplace. I remember vividly when we signed MOU last year with the University of Lagos. It was the transition period. Professor Ogundipe was still there, but she was there, showing so much resilience, having flown in that same morning from one of the West African countries. So you can see how tough this woman can be. As the world continues to face new challenges, which sometimes bring about feelings of self-doubt, especially among women, I would like them to develop a growth mindset and not give up. I must say to women or women directors, as the case may be, don't cage yourself in the victim mode. Rather, constantly seek knowledge, work hard, and learn new skills. I believe in sowing and reaping. Continue to sow. Of course, you don't know which ones will germinate and which ones will not, but in the fullness of time, you will reap what you have sown. The rewards will follow you even when you least expect. F.IoD Nigeria will continue to promote the ethos of good corporate governance and support its women directors in their areas of endeavors, not only to strive for greater performance, but to actually thrive through self-motivation and discarding of temporary discomfort, just like in our poll this evening about what we are all going through here in Nigeria. I was just telling my PA that, I mean, it will not be too much to assume that being a Nigerian woman means being resilient. You won't be assuming too much if you do that. So distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I leave you with the word grit. Grit, G-R-I-T. It is about perseverance of effort combined with passion to attain a long-term goal. And this is what our keynote speaker personifies. I believe that she will share her experience over the years and help us in mapping out strategies and solutions to build resilience and a growth mindset in this unstable world that we have found ourselves. Once again, I want to thank you all for participating and finding time to join us. I encourage you and those that are not yet members of the Institute of Directors to seize the opportunity to be part of us and exploit our numerous benefits. Let me also thank the management led by our DG in helping to operationalize this. Thank you very much, Otunba Debola Osibogun. Thank you very much, Janet, the chair, Dr. Janet Adetu, the chair of this committee, subcommittee, and also the moderator, Mrs. Chizo Malize. Thank you all. God bless you. Bye.
Thank you very much, my president and chairman of council. I think it's now time to hand over to the moderator, Mrs. Chizo Malize, to answer this aspect. Thank you.
Thank you very much, dear chairman. And thank you for everyone who's gathered this evening. I'll simply stand on existing protocols. We've had a profile of wonderful people this evening, from our extremely diligent and passionate president who is here with us today, and our very visionary chairman of the Women Development Directors Development Committee, and then of course our distinguished professor who we have here today. We're so delighted to have all of you gathered here today, and we're very delighted to have the guests who have also gathered to learn and glean from all of us. We would therefore like to bring to you the extremely elaborate profile of Professor Sade Ogunsola. But I'd like to take your permission, Prof, to read an abridged version of the profile, just to let all of us know that it runs into several pages and we do recognize your accomplishment. They are huge, they are admirable, and they are glowing. So permit us to do an abridged just for the want of time. Thank you. I would like to say a great welcome to Professor Sade Ogunsola, who is here with us today, the Vice-Chancellor of University of Lagos. And then added to that, the first female Vice-Chancellor of that prestigious university. Professor Sade Ogunsola is the first female Vice-Chancellor of the University of Lagos after 60 years of the institution's existence. She became the first Deputy Vice-Chancellor of Development Services of the university, responsible for entrepreneurship, innovation, internalization, and advancement in 2017. As we speak, she is currently the chairperson of the Infection Control African Network with head office in South Africa. She's also a professor of clinical microbiology at the University of Lagos and has been on this in the last 25 years. She has received and managed several research and capacity building grants worth over $20 billion, and she has served nationally and internationally in various capacities in the area of infectious disease and infection control. She currently serves on the governing council of the Lagos State Biobank, and she was a member of the Lagos State Government think tank for COVID-19 and the African Task Force for the Novel Coronavirus, and has worked extensively in the training and research arm, leading over 3,000 healthcare professionals across Africa. She holds a degree in medicine and surgery from the University of Ife, which is now Obafemi Awolowo University. She holds a master's degree in medical microbiology with distinction at the College of Medicine, University of Lagos. And she proceeded to the University of Wales College of Medicine, where she obtained both a diploma in biomedical techniques and a doctorate degree in medical microbiology. And she's a fellow of both the National Postgraduate Medical College in Pathology and West African College of Physicians in Laboratory Sciences. Our distinguished professor is actively involved in healthcare manpower development. She's very passionate about learning, as you can see. She's mentored over 65 MSc students and supervised and co-supervised 10 doctorate students and 12 specialist doctors. She's also a strong advocate for women, taking up leadership positions. She is a member of the Mentors Forum, where she mentors young physicians, molding several others to be like herself as she goes on her journey of impact. She has over 145 peer-reviewed publications in national and international journals. She loves singing, she loves reading, and she does love traveling, as we can see from all of her work in Africa and across the globe. And so we would just do a digital clap offering to our distinguished professors. Please just go down to your reaction and please make her warm and give her the thank you. Thank you. All of that for you, Prof. All of that for you. All of that for you, Prof. Thank you. You're most welcome. And I shall be handing over to you right now to give your delivery. It's okay to share your slides. You can also give us a word or two before you put up the slides so that we can connect with you. Thank you for coming. Let's sit back and enjoy the delivery. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I want to thank the IOD, the president, the chairman of the development committee, all the members for having me today. I have to say that I am highly honored to be here in the midst of, to be able to say a little bit about building resilience and a growth mindset, because I think it's an area that is really important, especially for us women. And when I started my journey, I certainly needed this kind of lecture, but I didn't get it. And so I sort of bumbled my way through. And what I'm hoping to do is hopefully share my experiences while telling you a little bit of how we can all grow and be better than we are. In sharing my experiences, I hope I can let every female know that anyone can shatter any ceiling and anyone can get, can grow. So, and be the very best that they can be. So I'm going to share my slides and start talking, and then hopefully we'll be able to, trying to see, please give me a second. Yeah. Okay. Then we can have discussions after that. We certainly live in an unstable world, and it's gone more unstable since 2020, when the world stopped and the COVID-19 pandemic was declared and countries locked down and economies stopped, and we really have not yet recovered. And in Nigeria, that was a little chaotic before. It's really become harder with high inflation rates, high food costs, housing problems, job insecurity, insecurity in general, then this no cash saga, and then everybody is leaving, the Japa syndrome, meaning that those left behind have to fill the spaces, and those who are employing are scrambling around looking for competent people. However, despite all these challenges, some people are thriving. Some companies are making profit. Some businesses are doing well. So what's the difference? Are they not being impacted? Some are going down into depression, but some are thriving. And we are all living in the same circumstances. The general environment is the same for everybody. So why do some do well and some don't do so well? Apart from things like IQ and so on. I love this quote from Ralph Emerson that said, 2 different minds, the same world is a hell and a heaven. And I think it speaks to, is it half full or is it half empty? Is there hope or there's no hope? Can I do something about it or can't I? Do I lie down and die? I loved what the president said. Victimhood. Is Nigeria happening to me or can I happen to Nigeria? And it all begins in the mind. The mind is its own place and in itself can make a heaven of hell and a hell of heaven. So a lot depends on how we see the world. It also drives our attitudes. And what we call attitudes is how we relate and interact with the world. So when I was given this lecture, I thought, mindset, everybody knows what mindset is. But I decided to read up a little bit more about mindset. What is mindset? It represents the complete sum of our thoughts and our beliefs and shapes the way that we interpret the world. You could call it our default operating system. That's how we react. It's how we see the world around us, and this always influences our interactions. It's how we filter the information. It's how we perceive and make our decisions. So it's a mental attitude that determines how we react. And it is really our subconscious mind. And it powers 95% of our thinking and our actions. So that if we have a mindset that sees negativity, negative things will happen to us. Even when we see opportunities, we will question it and we will not seize it. There are 2 types of mindsets. And it's not that both mindsets cannot achieve something.
Hello, I think her system has frozen.
Okay.
Let's hold on for a minute, then she will come.
Let's give a second, and I'm sure we'll also reach her. She's probably facing network challenges. Okay, so she seems to have dropped off as well, so. So while we wait to get back a very distinguished guest speaker, I would like to also announce at this point that as we follow the conversations and deliberations for today, we can also drop all of our questions on the Q&A section. You can see the Q&A button underneath, and it is just right where you have participants highlighted. Please drop the questions that come through your mind as we wait to connect with her again on building resilience and the growth mindset in an unstable world. A little bit of exercise for us while we wait for her. Some critical words have come across to us, especially as leaders in our own rights. The word resilience has also and always manifested. I'd just like to see what alternate words or any way, even if it's beyond the word, any of us would like to describe resilience. Can we put on anything that we think on our chat box, our own description of resilience, our experiences of resilience, our demonstration of resilience, and in any way that we can define resilience. I do know that a few people are going to jump onto this immediately. So we're looking at doggedness. Thank you, Hannah. Doggedness. Thank you, Busala. Courage in the midst of adversity. Great. I love it. The strong forward. Great again. Thank you, Madam President, for bringing great to today's discussion. Tenacity. Tenacity. That's a strong one. Thank you, Aderonke. Thank you, Senna. One word, different meanings to everyone. Stubbornly pushing forward. I do love that, Constance. Not giving up. Stay in power. Toughness. High adversity. Capacity to withstand. Elasticity. Durability. Stretchability. Unrelenting. I like that. Unrelenting. Yes. Persistency. Excellent. Different ways that Fumelayo, thank you so much. Thank you, Lufunke. Thank you. Resilience is the understanding that failure. Yeah. Oh, thank you. We got another one. Persevering. Thank you so much. And you know that this is everybody's experience of resilience in one way or the other. And it's so great that every one of us have a diverse way that we can express determination, survival instinct, never say never, indomitable. Resilience is understanding that failure is not categorized as failure, except you did not learn from your failure. I do love that, Olufunke. Thank you for that.
Okay,
Flexibility, unrelenting. It does seem that our guest speaker is back in the house. Indomitable, I do love that. Prof, are you settled in? Do we have you?
Yes, just give me a second to so that I load my slides again. I have to apologize. The internet just failed me.
It's the world of digital. We do understand. We got busy while you were sorting it out. Thank you, Amaka. Persevering. I love it. Keep it coming. Keep moving. Don't stop till you make it happen. I love that. Preparedness for the unexpected. I love this. Indomitable, Madam President. Thank you for that solid, strong words. And it does look like, whoa, excellent. Thank you. We're going to do another clap for you as you join us back. We're all going to slides to reaction at this time. And just give our speaker, oh, thank you. The claps are coming up already. We're welcoming you with a clap. If you're still
there, you very much.
Awesome,
I bow.
Awesome. All right, back to you again. Yes.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you. And yes, I think technology was trying to do something, but didn't know who
no, we are more than conquerors. So you are
more than conquerors. Thank you very much. All right, so I think I've gone past this. So it has a subconscious mind, and that determines how we think, how we move, how we aspire, and how we decide not to do things, and what to take on, what challenges, and then how we react. So we have two types of mindsets. What is called a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. Let me say this upfront. Both mindsets can achieve great things, but they do it in very different ways. And one is certainly a lot easier, and you enjoy the ride. So a fixed mindset says, it makes an assumption that those who are successful, that it is an inherent trait belonging only to those who are in some way exceptional, which immediately means it disenfranchises the person thinking like that, because unless that person believes that she is exceptional, she's not going to go forward. It's a sort of protective mind state that allows you to stay within your comfort zone, doing only the things that you know you are good at, and not aspiring to do more, because that means you're going to go into uncharted territory. So it's very protective, and for the most part, it's a closed kind of mindset. And it tends to keep us within our comfort zone. What it also tends to do is that it's not also necessarily where you want to be, because it doesn't allow you to achieve your fullest potential. So it is very possible that with this kind of mindset, you tend to be a little envious of those who are doing much better, especially if it's in an area that you actually believe you can, but somehow you're not pushing yourself forward to do it. The growth mindset, on the other hand, does not believe that there is an inherent trait for success. Yes, people may have different levels at which they start. For example, if I'm a lot more intelligent than you are, then I may have a head start. But what the growth mindset says is, with effort and with hard work, I can improve. And if I'm dedicated and I have focus, I can get to my goals. So maybe somebody else can do it in 2 minutes. I will get there in 2 weeks. It doesn't matter how long we get there. And when you're there, you are there. So it means that if you, through your hard work and dedication, you can achieve your goals. And it means you're aligning your thinking and your actions, because it's not enough to think it, you have to act it. And so you start working to do it. The only thing that stops us oftentimes is our minds when we're scared. So it says, what the growth mindset says is, your talents are just a starting point. So irrespective of what talent you have, whether it's a lot of it, it's not a lot of it, you can be better and you can do better. And that's the kind of mindset that achieves. So how do I know my mindset? How do I know if I have a growth mindset or I have a fixed mindset? Let me say upfront that we all tend to have a little bit of both. There are some, but we have more of one. And there are some areas where we tend to reach out and act as though we have a growth mindset. There are some areas, even when we do have a growth mindset, we can be fixed. Those are the areas where we're unsure, we're insecure about certain things about ourselves. But once we are aware, then we can move and overcome. So how do I know my mindset? The two types of mindsets, the growth mindset, when there are challenges, it sees them as opportunities. Opportunities to be creative, to overcome, to push through, to jump over. When the growth mindset, when someone with a growth mindset is criticized, they see it as feedback for improvement. They tend to be inspired by the success of others and want to learn from them. How did you do it? How will I get there? So they want to be like them, and they want to understand how they got there so that they can also learn those lessons and move on. They believe that effort is required to build new skills. So they will enroll for classes, they will attend meetings, seminars, they will join associations to network and meet new people. They will just push their boundaries. They'll get out of their comfort zone. And when they fail, they see it as learning one more way of how not to do it. So it's always a learning process. And so they dust themselves off, get up, and count that as experience. Because really, experience is that you've tried this, and for you to know which way to go, it means you've gone down some wrong roads. And some of them are uncomfortable. Some of them you would be very happy not to ever get there again because they were very unpleasant. But there's no tragedy that you fail. There's tragedy if you don't get up. Because once you move on, nobody remembers after some time that you fell down. Everything, people just see the success stories. And the growth mindset believes in continuously building on their abilities and their competencies and their knowledge. Now, the fixed mindset avoids challenges because of the fear of failure. They don't want to fail. So it's better not to go into something that you do not know too much about. So you stay where you know things, at least where you know you know. Unfortunately, that's mindset and that kind of behavior. Things will move on and you may find yourself left behind. It tends to ignore feedback. If anything, when you criticize, they go on the defensive. They don't want to take the criticism. They tend to be threatened by success of others, especially if that success is in an area that the person wants to be in an area that you're passionate about. When people are doing much better than you, then you feel threatened. You feel incompetent. They make you feel bad. The fixed mindset tends to want to look smart. So they don't want people to know what they don't know. So they want to appear smart. So they constantly have the facade, which creates a lot of tension within. When they come across obstacles, they give up very easily. Part of that is a fear of failure and a belief that that obstacle signifies an end. They're not ready to, navigate. And because they avoid failure at all costs, obstacles to them look like a source of failure. They tend to have fixed abilities because they're not constantly trying to do new things. They're not seeking new grounds. So it's important. So you have this growth mindset and you have the fixed mindset, and most of us have a default. So what are the triggers for a fixed mindset? I've sort of said it. If you're being challenged or you're facing a challenging situation, do you feel anxious, overly anxious? Everybody is a little scared for new challenges, but sometimes the fear can be paralyzing. When I was younger, when I have to do something that's really new, I was a shy child. I get so worried that I end up not doing it. And I'll give you one example. I sing. I'm a mezzo-soprano. When I was in Form 3, I performed my first Handel's Messiah. And my principal told my parents that they should send me abroad for training. I refused to go. And why did I refuse to go? The thought of leaving my comfort zone, of going abroad, and then they may discover that that voice was not that good, that then there'll be all sorts of strange people. I created such a fuss. I didn't go. For a long time, I regretted it. And there were other little ones, but that was one of the major ones because I loved to sing. But I was so scared that I wouldn't make it, that I just refused to go. So do you have a voice in your head saying, are you trying to go forward? Are you sure you can do this? Is it people like you that do it? Who can you see here that looks like you? When you have a setback or a failure, do you feel incompetent? Do you feel bad? Or do you recognize it as just failure of a particular activity, that something was not done right and you just fix it? Or do you take it as a shame, a personal shame? Which is the difference? The fixed mindset takes it personally, it's a shame. Whereas the growth mindset looks at it as we are trying to achieve something, we know there will be setbacks. And so all they do is they focus on the problem and try to solve it. The fixed mindset sees it as a personal failure and may refuse to move forward. Do you look for an excuse? And when you have criticisms, do you become defensive? Do you become angry or crushed? Do you think, why is it always me? And then when other people are successful, especially in the area you would love to be successful in, do you feel a little envious, even though you don't want anybody to know that? Do you feel threatened and think, hey, everybody is getting better except me? Do you have a sense of hopelessness? If you have a lot of this, then you do have a fixed mindset. But you're not alone. It has been shown that that female children are conditioned to have a fixed mindset, and that it contributes sometimes to this gender inequality. And it's a lot of work has gone on, and they found that parents and teachers alike often give young boys more praise for attempting things and doing things. And so they reinforce in them that growth mindset to go out, just try it. Whereas for girls, they say, be careful. Don't do this. Carry girl, keep calm. So that gradually girls feel that unless they are 150% sure, they're not going to move. So they stay in their comfort zones. They're very risk averse. And of course, that does not translate to growth, because growth needs you to move. So how do you develop a growth mindset? First of all, know yourself. Be very clear. Look at yourself in the mirror and accept your faults. I do have a fixed mindset. Be aware. Know your triggers. Know the area, things that sort of set you off. Look at those triggers and then look at yourself. Once you know it, own your mindset for now. And then start the journey of change. It is a journey. It's not a short journey. It's a long journey. But one day you wake up and you find out that you're the Vice-Chancellor of the University of Lagos, and you're wondering, how did I move from where I started to where I am? It's a lot of baby steps. It's not, and sometimes you go back. And sometimes you continue to fight little bits. It's just that now when you see the trigger, you know, okay, I'm feeling insecure here. Go sort it out. What's making me insecure? How do I solve it? And as you understand your mindset, you start to learn your areas that you require to grow in. Then feed your mind. Once you accept you do have that challenge, read, talk to people. You don't have to say, oh, I have a fixed mindset. No, talk in the areas of your challenge. Understand, for example, if it's about successes that you feel bad about, then go out and learn the skills. And use that person as, somebody to inspire you. Actually go over and meet them. I love your success. How did you do it? So that I can learn. And then rather than stay back so that people don't know you don't know, go forward and say, there's no one who doesn't like praise. How did you do it? I'd like to be like you. In a way, you're beginning to reach out and overcoming your general mind. Read motivational books, go to seminars, read autobiographies of those who have succeeded. And what you will find in all of the people that have succeeded is that they didn't get there in one day. They went through many periods of failure. And sometimes just seeing how they sorted out their failure can make you feel better, can help you to grow yourself. And I read some books as I was growing up. I was a very shy child. I was still shy in the university, even though I could keep up a facade. But inside me, there were lots of insecurities. And one day I just thought, and you think, oh, and I was sensitive, because that's another thing with the fixed mindset, very sensitive to everybody saying anything. But the thing to realize is nobody wakes up in the morning that I want to mess somebody up. They're just going about their businesses, and they may hit you, throw you off the wall, step on your toes, and not even say sorry because they didn't even know they did. And you're there nursing a grudge, feeling bad, and feeling nobody likes me. One day in university, I thought, why am I the only one feeling like this? Then it must be me that there's something wrong with. And I just started reading books, I wanted to understand why was I feeling like this. Initially, I thought maybe depression was going to kill me, that there must be something wrong. And I started a journey of, I would call it self-discovery.
Yeah.
So I read The Value in the Valley. And what that book told me was nobody's out for you. Everybody's busy doing their thing. So just get up and go. And that there are problems, but nobody's there. And that's the problem with you, is that you're too focused on yourself, thinking through your problems. Hey, this is happening to me. Think outside, face other, worry more about people rather than yourself. Then the Who Moved My Cheese told me about people who don't want to change, who are afraid of the unknown. And it's a beautiful book. It's a very small book. You can actually finish it in a day, but it has huge lessons. It's about mice who stayed within their maze, and they were hearing stories of what was going on outside, and they were just going on and on until somebody decided to go out, and then there were opportunities. So there's a time we outgrow where we are. We need to move. The fear of change. The question is, let me make it a different thing. We're always so afraid of change that we never actually think of the consequences of the status quo, staying in the same place as the world passes you by. There is a cost to not moving. The iceberg is melting is something similar to that as well. But one of the most beautiful books, which I read much older, was The Confidence Code. And what is confidence? It tells us that confidence is the time taken from when you think about doing something and you actually do it. That's time. And what they found was that men, when they're about 30% sure that they can do it, they start. Women, 100%, 120, 150, we're still dotting the I's and crossing the T's before we can start. The man will start and make mistakes along the way. In a year's time, he has achieved a lot, fallen down many times, gotten up, but he's been moving forward. The female is still at the starting point, thinking of how to make it perfect before they start. So I learned something, that we tend to we're so risk averse. So I tell women, I said, before you get to 30, move from the 100. If you're 60% sure, start. You see, you can never do everything at the beginning, and you take it in small bites. Take the first step, then move to the next step. In a year, you'll be shocked how far you have gone. You would have learned lessons and you would have grown. And then I read also A Measure of Grace, which was the book by Professor Mabo, which documented his life, the things he did, his challenges and his growth. And it was also very inspirational for me. So I would say to all the women here who have doubts, and you will have doubts, even when you appear to have it all, you will have doubts. The difference would be you would have become stronger, and so you're ready to keep moving on. So you need also to use the power of yet. What I mean by that is when you're thinking, oh, I don't know how to do it, add yet. I don't know how to do it yet, which means I now need to go and know how to do it. Look at the successes of others. Whether you've been successful in a project or not, ask people to give you feedback. You may also want them to give you insight into where you have developed, where they have developed, where they are at. They can give you insight. Always seek the feedback. Let people tell you what is not okay, and tell them, be brutally honest with you. You may not like it, but it does make your work more robust, and it certainly strengthens your mind. Then learn something new. Take up something, challenge yourself. That's something that you've been thinking, do I know how to do it? I've been wanting to sing forever. Create time. Start with low-hanging fruits, things that if you fail, you won't feel bad. And after a while, you'll get used to failing sometimes, and it's no longer a problem. I can tell you one of the things for me that was a challenge was challenging myself to go for elective office. I consider myself a private person. And at that time, the thought of going out campaigning was something that was not on my radar at all, and was something that petrified me. But I'll tell you that a little later. But in everything that you do, break it down into small bits. Don't keep your eye on where you want to go. Sometimes that can be intimidating. Start with the small bits. So you want to become the president of Nigeria. So what are the steps? My first step will be to talk to somebody about it. That's not scary. Gradually you form a team. Gradually you are going on television talking. Gradually you are doing this, and you keep moving. And then you will make mistakes. As sure as day is day and night is night, you will make mistakes. You will have failures. It is a learning process. For every failure, there's a learning, there is something you're going to take away from it that will make you better. Those are the things that you have that become your experience, that make you special, because nobody else has had that experience. That's what experts are made of. You become an expert by doing. You become strong by doing. And by making those mistakes, so you have all your battle scars, but nobody sees them. All it does is it strengthens your character, strengthens your expertise, because you will now have all those things that are not written in books. They will be in your head because you have done them. Be kind to yourselves. Women are the most critical of themselves, not other women. Other women may criticize you, but you criticize yourself more than they criticize. So think through how you would do if another woman failed or your child failed, and do the same for yourself. Failure is a part of growth. So be kind to yourself, be gentle with yourself, allow yourself to fail without being shamed by it. What I say to myself is, okay, if this is my first time, I failed. If I fail the second time, it must not be for the same reason. If you fail for the same reason 3 times, it means you have learned nothing. So allow yourself to fail for the first time, but you cannot fail the second time, because you must learn the lessons from that failure. And if you haven't, you will fail again. And then you must search even deeper. Why did I fail again? And more importantly, set realistic goals. You can have the big goal and then set small ones so that you're taking it a bite at a time. So I've talked a little bit about this, but when I, as a child, certainly I wasn't planning for leadership positions. I wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to take care of people. But I always had a strong penchant for teaching people and mentoring and so on. So my dream when I went into academia was that I will get to WHO and I will work with WHO. That was the ultimate dream I had. I was not thinking of administration at all. But what I learned was that to get there was not through the regular way. Mine was quite a long journey, but I'll just shorten it to one of the few things that I did. So I decided that, the public sector, the universities are not well funded. In other universities abroad, as an academic, I will get funding to travel and so on. All those are part of what they expect from me, and they will enable me to do it. Here, you're paid badly, and generally, if you want to travel, you've got to find your money. And I was a young academic. I didn't have that much money. I was just growing my family. But I decided that, you know what, I'm going to try and travel for a conference on my money. Once a year, if I can't do it once a year, I'll do it every 2 years. And that if I go, I must present something. So I funded a little study and I followed the best practice. I read up what the WHO guidelines. I sat there and I did this, and I carried myself to South Africa and I gave this presentation. While I was giving that presentation, I saw some people smiling at me from the audience. And then after the presentation, they said, oh, we would like to meet you. We had lunch together. Turns out this was WHO. I wasn't expecting to meet WHO at that time. And the rest is history. I got a consultancy, a short-term consultancy to WHO Afro. And from there, I went from Congo, Brazzaville, I went to Ghana, I went to Senegal, we're doing some training, I went in this area. And that launched another part of my life. But every time that things have happened to me, I have, as you said, President, I had to sow seeds. I had to sow. Each time I did something, not for myself, but because I felt it needed to be done. I didn't know that something would come out of it, but each time that has happened. So my elective position, that was one of my worst nightmares. As I said, I was shy. I had grown out of it a bit, but it still was this area of just going into the public and just talking to people was something that was not easy for me at that time. And so I decided to go for elective position. The only other person, a female, that had gone for elective position, which was about 10 years before that time, got 2 votes. And so it was not a very comfortable area for females to go. So I remember I prayed, I said, God, you know, I would like to be provost, but if you don't think it's good for me, just scatter it. I know that my job is to do the best that I can be. And if it doesn't work, then I'll know that you didn't want it to happen. This was not for me. So, but the most important place I had to fight was my mind. That fear of going out, the fear of failure. Failing in public view was something that was scary. I knew that anytime you're in leadership position, they're going to talk about you. People are going to make assumptions. They're going to say bad things. Half of it you will not hear. Some you will, but most of it you will not be able to defend yourself. I wasn't sure I wanted all that because you don't even know where that goes in terms of your reputation. So I decided, okay, I will go for it. Because at that time, my going for it was also part of fighting my mind and pushing my boundaries, because I had been growing and this was sort of like the last frontier. If I could do this, then I knew I had finally conquered that mindset that I started with. And then I did a lot of studying about the requirements, the problems in the college. I did a lot of work, working with people, what would be our strategy to achieve change and things like that. I formed a team of people who would tell me the truth. They were hardworking people. And I said, the only thing I told them then was, you will do the campaign. Well, they said, don't worry, we will do it for you. But by the time it came to that, I had to do my work myself. I got a lot of feedback. And then I needed to campaign. And then I developed my style. I realized part of my challenge was I didn't know how to do it cold turkey, just to appear in somebody's room that I had never met before. So I started sending out little texts to say, I'll be coming to visit you, you know, and needless to say, I won the election. And I started another journey that I didn't know anything about, because prior to me, all the provosts had been old men, most of them on their way to retirement. So this young girl that still had a lot of things to do, I certainly had no role model for that position. But as I said, you take it all bite size, one day at a time. And gradually you realize you've developed some, not only expertise, you develop resilience, because resilience is the capacity to withstand or to recover quickly from difficulties. And in all this journey, what you're going to have is difficulties, and you will stand. If you're moving forward, it means you've overcome quite a lot of things. And you only develop resilience by doing. You cannot think resilience. It's doing it, getting up from every setback, getting up from criticism, overcoming unfair news and stories about you, often from people who know nothing about you. So it's the ability to withstand adversity and bounce back and grow despite life's downturns. But that is something you grow slowly, and as you grow, you continue to come against adversity and you recover. And before you know it, you're tougher than you think you can be. you're tougher, you have skills you did not know you had. So what I will say is this: once your mindset changes, everything on the outside will change along with it, because your mindset determines how you interact with your world. So I'm going to say this to all of us. We will all start at different points. We all have different places we are going to. But when we decide to have a growth mindset, it's actually something that brings about equity. You will be able to achieve your goals, because equity understands that you're starting at different points, but will arm you with what you need to reach the goal you want. So know yourself and start where you are, knowing you can get anywhere you want to with hard work, with persistence, that you will fail and you will get up. And as you fail and get up, you get tougher and you get more experienced. So look in the mirror, acknowledge your faults, accept you're not perfect, but no one is. But you can always be better. So start pushing your boundaries, get out of that comfort zone so you can grow. Growth is uncomfortable. Get uncomfortable. So I want you all to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. So growth uncomfortable, you need to develop that growth mindset. So irrespective of how uncomfortable, how afraid, you need to do it anyway. So happy International Women's Day. Let's embrace equity. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. And thank you for the beautiful last frame. We're sending back our own hug to you. And then we are also saying, embrace equity. Thank you. Thank you very much. May I also join our distinguished prof to say to everyone in the room, please turn on your video as we go on our own journey of embracing equity. Embrace equity. I'm just waiting. Prof, please come back. We need you again because we need that embrace equity. It's International Women's Day. For as many as can turn on their video, yes, please, thank you very much. So I'm just going to go, 1, 2, go. International Women's Day 2023, embrace equity. So let's go together. International Women's Day 2023, embrace equity. Thank you, thank you. Thank you for an excellent delivery. It's such a pleasure to hear from you. And you did nail it. You nailed it, nailed it, nailed it. You spoke like a professor. You spoke like you have digested the book. You spoke like you are writing another growth mindset for dummies. It did cut across. And just a few of the things that we captured along the journey of this evening's delivery, you spoke about the 2 kinds of mindset, the growth mindset, and of course, the fixed mindset. Thank you very much. Fixed is inherent. They feel that I'm comfortable where I am. I don't want to dare no more. But growth is, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. They are achievers and they see opportunities and they grab opportunities. Thank you for sharing those triggers that can challenge and limit growth, because that's what the people with a fixed mindset feel. All they hear is the challenges, the setbacks, the criticism, and all the reasons why they cannot. But then again, you told us that we can crush those inhibitions. So if we find ourselves, if anyone finds themselves on the side of the fixed mindset, we can walk the journey and develop the grind mindset. Thanks also for sharing with us how that can happen. We must be aware of who we are. We must feed our minds and tell ourselves all the things that can make us succeed. And those excellent books that you recommended, fantastic. If you've ever read them, read them again. If you've never read them, read them right now. Thank you also for leaving us on that note with telling us that we must get positive. Your journey to WHO is extremely remarkable and exciting. Thank you for sharing that with us. And you ended us on the note of take responsibility for yourself and stop blaming others. When you are ready, WHO found you because you put yourself on the path. So let's all put ourselves on the path to success. And so from provost to VC, because you asked for it. Women asked for it. Just by going by that elective post, it could be 2 votes at that point, but it was ready and getting you on the path to becoming VC one day. So move from one point to the high point. I do love totally what you said to us about our ability to withstand adversity by keeping ourselves equipped to bounce back. And all I could feel and hear from your bounce back is the spring that helps us bounce, which is how much we have built resilience in us. So in your final word, you said growth is unstoppable. You would fail, you would rise, and you would toughen up and you would go higher. And in her final shot, in summary, it's all about grow, grow, grow. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for a beautiful delivery this evening. Thank you. All right, so we'll just take some questions at this time. And I know that Prof is ready to hear all of our questions. And I will encourage us to drop some questions on the Q&A section, not on the chat, on the Q&A section. And while we are getting those questions together, Prof, I would read you the very first question. Your story is that of an accomplished woman who has journeyed from several points where she feels that she may not be able to do it, and that she still gets to do much more. What do you think that women can do when they feel these challenges that makes them feel that fear can overwhelm them? So many women can do it, but they are crippled with the fear. So what do you think women can draw from your story to kill the fear and crush the fear and soar and grow like you charged us today? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I have to tell you that fear, I think, the conditioning we get, to be the perfect woman, to be, we're brought up to feel we must be perfect. And that puts us in a cage because you don't want that, perfection, that patina of perfection to disappear. You don't want anybody to see behind that perfection, especially when you're not perfect and you know it. So I will say this, and I will say, let's be gentle with ourselves. You won't overcome that fear once. You're going to be afraid, but you will step out and do it anyway. You'll be scared to death. How you overcome the fear is that when you step out and you do it and nothing happens, the world didn't fall, then you go out again. But start with things that if you fail, it will not scare you so much you don't want to go back. So don't do it where, in broad daylight, go and try something that everybody will see you. Do it in small bits where if you fail, you get up, you say, okay, and you move on. And gradually you'll sort of start expanding. So it's gentle. I can assure you, sometimes you'll run back into your shell. Then you talk to yourself, you get out again. There's something you want to do. I'll tell you, for example, for my first grant, in writing a grant for money, for dollars, had never done it before. So I started to write it. And the call for grants came out of Harvard. I was a young lecturer. I said, he is sitting here in Nigeria, Harvard? What do I want to write that Harvard will be interested in? That's how I felt. So I decided to write it anyway, but I didn't tell anybody because I was very sure that I wasn't going to get it. And I wanted my disgrace to be personal. No, I wasn't sharing, but I got it. But what was also interesting was that they didn't tell me, they just invited me for a conference. And I went to that conference and I was looking at everybody If they didn't speak to me, I say, you have disgraced yourself. You didn't get it. That's why they're not talking to you. So one of the things I have learned along the way is that we're more scared in our imagination than what's going on around the world. So I got it. In fact, it was just that they were busy. It wasn't me that they were thinking about. So I had gotten it, and I got a very good thing, but I had died of fear. I almost didn't go for that conference because I hadn't heard from them. So I would say this to everybody. Oftentimes the fear you feel is much less than the problems out there. Nobody can see your fear. Just step out, do a little bit, and you'll find that if you keep moving, you'll get over it. I can assure you it's not a straight journey. It's a zigzag journey. But after a while, you'll find that your zig is much more than your zag. You go forward, you don't come back so far. And gradually you start to move. After a while, you're not zigging and zagging all over the place. So give yourself time, but keep moving. Thank you.
Awesome. And do it anyway. I would always remember to do it anyway. Thank you. Now, one of the things you made reference to is the fact that people think they must become perfect. And we have seen situations where a lot of women speak to not being ready to take roles. And most times it is described as imposter syndrome, where they are too concerned about if they are suitable, if they can do it, if they can even get in, and that crushes and takes away opportunities our way. Is imposter syndrome real? Is it something that you can speak to us so that people can know how best to take the opportunities that face them without making excuses for why they are not ready?
It's real. And it's coming from that. We have a high dose of fixed mindset conditioning as women. So we never feel we're good enough. I can assure you, if I ask all the women here, even the president, there are times you will have it for something new. But what we've learned to do is ignore it and move on. You start to count your successes. And that's why that book, The Confidence Code, helped. Because till I read that book, I hadn't heard of imposter syndrome. So I assumed there was something wrong with me. Then I read it. It's common. And that, first of all, made me feel good. Oh, we all feel it, okay. And they're all still going out there, fine. So it means it's like fear. You feel that imposter syndrome, do more homework, but move out when you're 60% sure. Don't worry about the perfection. You are not going to achieve everything overnight. So it is real. And it comes from that, that we take on the shame of our failures rather than see it as a thing apart. And over time, we'll go on. But let me also mention that there is a truth to saying that when a woman fails, the pushback is much worse than for a man. Even when you're doing things, there's an expectation that you will not win or that you do not know what you're doing. So people can kill you with niceness. Don't worry, we'll do it for you. There's an assumption that you can't. So there's all that you have to, stand up and probably have to do a lot more work to prove that, but it shouldn't stop you stepping up to the plate. I can assure you're probably readier when you started than when the other young man starts, but they are more confident. So I will say to the women, you will be afraid. You will have the imposter syndrome, but do it anyway.
Do it anyway.
Do it anyway.
Do it anyway. Thank you for that again.
The sky would fall.
Yes, heavens would fall. And just like you mentioned, and you had also shared this in your structure, even if you think you are 60% ready, the 40% will come from doing. Do it anyway, and you would perfect as you get to do it. So do it anyway. Yeah, thank you. So that brings us to another question. What's your advice for pushing past shame, especially in our culture where sometimes people put down some women based on society's expectation they're single mothers, they're divorcees, they should be hidden away somewhere. What are your thoughts with regards to shame? Should women be inhibited by their situations and circumstances?
You know, we shouldn't be. The shame, you can put it with the fear, you can put it with the imposter syndrome, they all come from the same place. Some of the things that I talk to myself about, and some I have read, but I agree with them, is that really those who know you, and they're the ones that matter. 3/4 of the people shaming you, you really don't care about them. So why are you letting their opinions shape your life? I will say something. I'm sure you all know that we had a turbulent period in the University of Lagos a few years ago, where they said people stole money. I mean, that was one of my greatest nightmares. My name, you know, in the same bracket with money disappearing, you know, and corruption. I thought I was going to die. I mean, I thought I would die. If that had happened to me 15 years ago, I think I would literally have just jumped into and fallen, you know, but I'd gotten tougher. I think that made me realize I had toughened up. But what was most important to me were the people who knew me. They said, Sade, we know you. We know you. And it was comforting. A lot of the people who were talking don't know me. So they can say what they like, but those who knew me, knew me. And that's the way of the world. You cannot. People will say anything about you and they don't know you. They're just repeating what others have said. They've never met you. So it's really for us, it hurts, whichever way you do it, but it's to, you know, it becomes a head thing. You say, I'm not going to let them speak to me. There has to be some courage with us. I'm going to go out there. The first day is always the worst. The second day will be, after a while, it will go. Then the second part of it is anything becomes the news of the past. After a while, something else happens. And you just find that nobody's talking about it anymore. Something new has happened. And it's the people who know you who will still be standing. Those who don't have moved on to new gist. So the point is, talk to yourself, you know, keep talking to yourself. It is hard, but you do it in the end.
Thank you. We do have one that is not such a question, but it's good that you know. Are you considering writing an autobiography soon? We are ready to buy.
Not soon. What I'm doing right now is gathering my experiences. So when I'm done with this job, I will write something. I will write an autobiography around, I haven't quite made up my mind what, but it will be about some of the lessons, and I'm hoping that it will be useful for other women. Because I keep saying, I think I was the most unlikely child to be doing what I'm doing if I go from how I was to where I am now. And if I can, anybody can.
Thank you. Excellent. Excellent deliberations. And the last question spoke about your support system. What sort of support system have you built around you that made you this sterling power woman?
Let me say, first of all, that I totally disagree with those who say women cannot be friends. My greatest support system have been my friends, my female friends. Women understand how women feel. I also have had mentors, women I have looked up to. My mother was one, is one. I have a number of aunties, and when I say aunties, they're not necessarily by blood, but you know, everybody that's older than you is an aunt. Some of my lecturers, and what I saw with them was, initially for some of them, it was, how did they combine work and they were achieving so much? My mother worked, and there was a time she was commuting. So when I was going to do my PhD and had to leave my children behind, many people said, you will leave your husband? He's going to go away. I said, you know, my answer to them was, you know, my husband should have the same commitment to this marriage as I am. Not going to say because of him, I'm not going to do anything, because what will happen is that you start to resent him after a while, that he didn't let you, but he didn't stop you. You stopped yourself using him as an excuse. My husband was very supportive. So if I didn't go, I had nobody to blame but myself. And my mother said, Sade, go. We'll take care of your children. They won't remember. I think my daughter is on the line. I don't think they really remember that time beyond remembering it for having nice clothes, mommy coming home with gifts. It was not disruptive. And children, if they're loved, so you take care of that end. So I had those kind of then I also had male mentors. I have to say there were men in my life who were not gender, they had no gender bias. So they treated you just like everybody else, and they supported you. They saw you with your value. They didn't see you with gender, and created things around you. And so my support system till today, really, most of the ones that are around me are my friends, my female friends, my aunties, the women in my life, and a few men.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you for Grandma for the great work she's done, and your husband who has supported that. And we've all heard it. Women, no excuse. The support structure is always there. The man needs to be vested in the investment in the family and children as much as the woman. And that was quite a great one. And it's been a very beautiful evening hearing you, learning from you, gleaning from your wealth of experience and exposure. And I wish we do have more time. We could talk on and on for another 2 hours and still enjoy you. But it means that we are definitely going to be having Prof on another program when it is going to be longer time, longer moments, bigger topics, and physical as well. And physical. Madam Chairman, I hope you heard that. And physical as well. Yes. Thank you very much. And lovely to have you. And
thank you very much.
F.IoD, I said thank you. It's been wonderful chatting with you. It's been wonderful learning from you. Right.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been an honor being here.
Janet. Thank you. Okay, I was trying to see if we can reach Dr. Janet. We need to go into the coaching section. And coaching questions. Do we have her? Okay. Chairman, would you like to speak to that while we wait for her, or you'd like us to, yeah? Please, can you speak to that while we wait for her?
All right. Well, thank you very much, Prof. And from all the comments that have been pasted on the chat box, it was an excellent delivery, excellent presentation, and we're indeed very grateful. I know that the DG is still going to give the vote of thanks, so I'm not going to do his job, but I just thought I must comment that now. That was from the heart. And the way you shared your personal experience, even those of us who are about the same age with you, we were able to still gain something from that. So I must say a very big thank you. I want to tell the audience, the participants, that we're going to have 2 new programs coming up for IOD. The first one is the executive coaching program, which will be coming up very soon. And the second is the apprenticeship program. The executive program it seeks to provide coaching opportunities on one-on-one basis to assist women who could have 1 or 2 challenges to be able to meet their goals, the goals that you set for yourself. I mean, a good example, if you want to attain, if you want to go in for a doctorate degree in the next couple of years, and you're still scared of how do you want to do it, which is what Prof just put us through. It's easy for you to go through a coaching program so that you can set your Sorry?
Sorry.
All right. So you can set some goals for yourself and be able to achieve it. Also, we're going to have one-on-one coaching with Nigerian IFC, as well as the international one, both locally and internationally. I know it's not going to come free, and so I want us to be prepared that nothing really comes free when it comes to getting knowledge. And so the first cohort will be for over a period of about 6 to 8 weeks. And this program, I must say, is heavily subsidized by the Institute. And I'm going to, after your one-on-one coaching, you go into a group coaching session, which will also come up at the end. And so luckily Janet is here. I think I must have mentioned quite a bit of it. You're going to have professionally certified coaches from IFC Global that will come on to teach you on exactly how to achieve your aims, which you have set for yourself. They're not going to set it for you. There are things that you have set for yourself. And so we would want you to consider to register once the program is out so that you don't miss the opportunity. It's to help female directors to achieve their aim. So that's what I would say right now. I know Janet has popped in. Janet, is there anything you want to add to it? So except maybe to ask for their contact details, maybe on the chat box, and we'll be able to get it through.
Yeah. And then we can always reach out to our people in the program. There will be a lot of notification when it comes out. This is just a time. So if you are interested now, you can put your name and your email, and we'll shortly get back to you.
All right. Sorry, you went too clear, you went too audible. So, but we'll accept what you have said. So please show some interest and let's flow with it. And for the other one, for the apprenticeship program, we're looking into having individuals who go on to boards of some companies as apprentice to sit down and watch how things. So that being the case, I'm to invite the DG, Mr. Dele Alimi, to kindly give us the vote of thanks. Thank you.
And just one moment, please, before we get the DG in. DG, just one moment. I just want to take the privilege to recognize a male who is in the room who has proved himself to be a he for she. He had turned in a question after Prof had jumped out, but we just want to recognize you, Dr. Emeka Obi. We recognize that you took out time to be a part of this program, to share your thoughts and share your views, and we would provide the presentation like you asked for. Just so you understand, it's not a women's only, it is all for us, men and women alike, and we're happy to have you in the room. And for the questions on tendency and procrastination, we would also contact you and provide more insight collaboratively with the Institute. Thank you very much. Over to you now, DG Alimi.
Thank you very much, Madam. And a very warm good evening to everybody on this call. It's been a very, very refreshing and educative evening for me personally. I have a very simple job to do here, and I'll just go straight to it. First, I want to say a very big thank you. I know you've had a lot of that tonight, Prof. I don't know, when you started, there are two people I respect when I listen to them: professors and clergymen, especially bishops. The way they put their points across, you hardly you can't avoid listening to them and understanding the depth from which they are coming from. And that's what I have experienced tonight or this evening, and which I think a lot of people have also experienced. I want to say a very big thank you, Madam, for accepting to play and for playing it so perfectly. And I thank God that you didn't go for that music course abroad, because how will we have had this wonderful professor of medicine here today? So I thank God you didn't go for that one. Whatever, I hope it's thanking God is in order. And I want to say thank you to you for being here today and for playing this wonderful role today. On behalf of everybody here, we say very big thank you. And I want to also thank the Women Directors Committee. I know they seems to be the organizers of this, but look, one thing I've decided now, and it's that whenever we are publicizing these programs from the Women Directors Committee, we'll remove that tag that says women directors are invited to. I think this is for everybody. I believe this is for everybody. I have learned so much today. In fact, I decided that the next edition of these programs, not only am I going to attend, I will make sure even my children, my daughter, my son, attend, because it is life-changing. We're talking about reality, things that is happening on a day-to-day basis to people in their social, in their business, and in their private life. So it is very important. And I want to say thank you again. I want to thank the chairman of the Women Directors Committee, Otunba, Debola, Osibogun. You have brought so much dynamism to this committee, and you have showed us what women can do. And we do appreciate you. We say very big thank you. And for our wonderful moderator, the vice chairman of the Women Directors Committee, Mrs. Chizo Malize, we say thank you very much for bringing that wealth of experience into this. And the lady that sets the program running, despite the fact that she had another present engagement, Mrs. Janet Adetu, I say a very big thank you on behalf of the Institute for taking time to be here and for playing this role. And of course, to our chief host and our president and chairman of governing council, I would say you set the tone for what the Women Director Development Committee had become today. And I'm glad that that decision you took on the kind of leadership you are giving it, the kind of target you are giving that committee has come to give us these wonderful programs that we'll be having. I say very big thank you, Madam President, and we continue to look forward to some other wonderful things that this committee is still going to do. And of course, to my colleagues, the Secretary of the Committee, Mrs. Sena Ayodeji, and the other staff in the Secretariat who worked to put this together. I say very big thank you to them, our IT people, I say thank you. And of course, most importantly to the participants. At a point in time, we were about 130 here, inclusive of the panelists, and that is wonderful. So I want to say a very big thank you to everyone, and I wish you a wonderful evening as we continue to embrace equity. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you very much, DG. And I believe that we have come to the end of this session. And we pray that another one will come, the third edition will come about this time next year. And you can be rest assured that we'll also bring you another very interesting personality to come and discuss with us on this table. Thank you.
One thing before we all leave, photograph, please. Even though we are digital, let's make memories. Technology, please go ahead.
You freeze. Just
Are we doing the?
We will do the photograph for the event, and then we'll embrace equity. So we'll do the first one as we are right now. Thank you. Technology, please go ahead at the count of 3.
This first one.
1, 2, and 3.
All right, taken.
All right.
Thank you. So we would go again for Embrace Equity. International Women's Day 2023, Embrace Equity.
All right, taken.
Thank you very much. Great memories. Even though we are virtual, we still got to have memories. Thank you.
Thank you very much, moderator.
Yes.
I think we've come to the end.